Okay, so we're back here for part two. This is an interview with Rick Duarte, and this is Nigel Gray as the host. And so Rick is the red blur in the screen, and I am the little corner. I'm the little mouse in the corner. Okay, no worries. Rick, you were talking about you told us about the people that you had thanked for uh, your introduction to weather modification and geoengineering. So where do you want to carry on from there?
Yeah, there's just two other people that I'd like to thank. One is Rosalind Peterson, who opened up my eyes to chemtrails. He did a fabulous job. And also to Dominic Mamera. He's from Canada. Since I have a little French Canadian blood in me, I affectionately call him Canuck, which is a slang term for a person from Canada, which
Yep.
is well taken. But Dominic Mamera originally founded several years ago Weather Modification History. And if you go to his website, he literally has, close to 900 articles dealing with uh, weather modification over the course of history, which dates back over 100 years. The guy has done an absolutely remarkable job. So, along with Dominic, he also works with Jim Lee as well too, in weather modification history.
Right.
So, a big shout out, Dominic, for doing that.
Okay,
Now,
good.
moving along, uh, I'm crossing off things as I go through them. Um, some of the videos and articles, especially the videos I watched, which helped in my education over the past 7 years with regards to weather modification, is What in the World Are They Spraying by Michael Murphy. Also by Michael Murphy was Why in the World Are They Spraying? And Dr. Nick Begich, who produced the video Angels Don't Play This Harp, H A HAARP.
Yep.
Another one is Holes in Heaven, which people might recognize if they stand it up in skies where there's holes in the cloud.
Yep.
Uh, this was done by, not done by, but it was narrated by the actor Martin Sheen. An excellent video called Holes in Heaven. And this is done by your ionosphere keeters. Ionosphere keeters such as HARP.
Yep.
Then, then a remarkable video has to do with Dr. Ben Livingston. And there's a good video on him dealing with, he's known probably as the father of weaponized weather, specifically hurricane control. And if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend it because that's been going on since 1947.
Right.
And that's astounding that the United States had their hands involved in that. What is that? Over 70 years ago? Yes, 70 years ago.
Well, they
They were
seem.
manipulating the weather back then.
Yeah, they seem to have pretty well perfected it now.
They have. I mean, they progressed. The technology has increased. They've got the land-based technology. They also have this, what you want to say, the technology also available in the seas and the ocean. they also have the technology in space as well too, which sort of leads me into what President Donald Trump said here about 4 days ago, that he announced the creation of the Department of Space Force, by the U.S. Marine Corps. And basically, this is a continuation of what Ronald Reagan mentioned back in 1986, dealing with Star Wars.
Yep.
Trump has taken it to a whole new level, and essentially what we're dealing with is like Star Wars in space. So, when you have a satellite that, can beam down, disrupt the ionosphere, and/or, especially in the case of directed energy weapons, create massive fires like they did in Southern California last year. Not one, not two, not three, but 4 of them that really devastated Southern California. You're dealing with something that is, what's the best word I want to say? Nefarious. That's the word.
Right.
The word is nefarious. It's all part of the Agenda 2030.
Yep.
And, I could elaborate even further. I've got that I've got that well documented on Weather Wars International, especially the Santa Rosa fire. I have got, I think, close to 400 pictures that show the devastation that was caused in the Santa Rosa fire. But here's the thing with regards to that. These pictures show where the homes and businesses were literally destroyed, pulverized down to ash, but all the trees were left green.
Yeah, I've seen the photos.
Yeah. Now, the mainstream media will tell you that this was a wildfire. Well, they lied.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Let's see. A couple other things. Former presidents John F. Kennedy, JFK, back in the early 60s, I think it was around 1963 before he passed away, assassinated by the CIA and Secret Service. And I also have information on that as well too, if you care to, review that. But John F. Kennedy said, one of the things we want to do is be able to control the weather for basically peaceful purposes. Now, after JFK was assassinated, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, his vice president, came into office, and he spoke. He said in a graduation ceremony, and I'll paraphrase LBJ, when you can control the weather, you can control the world.
Yep.
And if that doesn't scare the pants off of you, nothing will. And nothing could be further from the truth right now. Another thing is, with regards to weather warfare, this was absolutely stunning. This took place in England, and this is back in 1952.
I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Project Cumulus. The title of it is Project Cumulus, the great man-made flood that devastated Plymouth, England. in 1952.
Yep.
Now, what happened is the British or the Royal Air Force actually distributed, oh, shoot, what is it? They distributed chemicals. I can't remember the exact name. They basically sprayed chemicals.
Wasn't silver iodide or something?
Yes, yes, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. It was silver iodide to see what would happen. Well, they got caught with their pants down, and it flooded Plymouth, England, and killed, if I remember correctly, nearly 1,600 people, and literally wiped out the town on the face of the planet. And I also have documentation and pictures of that as well, too. Now, let's move along back into the 60s when we were involved in the Vietnam War. There was the Operation Popeye, which you're probably familiar with.
Yep.
Operation Popeye extended the monsoon season over Vietnam for about a 9-year period of time, a month or two. And what the purpose of this was to prevent the North Vietnamese from basically infiltrating South Vietnam. Well, little did they know that had very little effect. The North Vietnamese are very resourceful people. They found their ways around the Ho Chi Minh Trail and kept on infiltrating South Vietnam. But it did have an effect. Now, the next item on the list is a landmark video as well as an article and a PDF file on silent weapons for quiet wars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And I know you're very familiar with that. that not only pertains to weather wars, that also pertains to vaccines.
It's a pretty nasty piece. You know, it's very, you know, but when I first watched or read the whole thing, that took me a couple of days to get over. It was pretty. It's a nasty piece of work what they did there. You know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, if you want to find out what's really going on in the world and why things aren't the way they should be, I highly recommend you watch Silent Weapons for Quiet War.
Yeah, I'll just put in a recommendation that you should be in a stable state of mind before you watch it, before you go watching it, because seriously, it's not the kind of video or you know information you want to take in. You know, if you're not ready for it, it's quite honestly quite rough.
That's true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Now, I've only got a couple more things that I've got to add. One is Alana Freeland. In addition to her writing that book, you know, on chemtrails, ARP, and the full spectrum dominance of Earth, she recently came out. It was January or February of this year, 2018, with a book called Under an Ionized Sky.
Yep.
Which has to do with the space fence. Now, if people are not familiar with this, even though some should be, because I've posted this several times on Weather Wars International. This may seem, how do you want to say, mind-blowing that this space fence, in a nutshell, means absolute total control of not only the weather on Earth, but also of people's well-being and emotions. Now, I know that's going to be a hard thing to grasp. You have to watch a couple of our videos and read a book to understand. I'm not going to elaborate on it. Now, I want people to get a very visual picture, which I also posted on Weather Wars International, is I want you to picture planet Earth with a ring around it, just like Saturn.
Yep.
Within the next 50 years, that's what Earth will look like. That is your space fence. Now, aside from that, and this will be the last thing that I'll mention, is that yesterday I wrote an article, and I don't write articles that often, except when the spirit moves me and I find a need to say something.
Yep.
And I highly recommend that people read this as well too. It was called Planetary Weather Warfare.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it doesn't go into a great amount of detail, and none of my articles do, but they get right to the point. And the point being of this article is, when I talk about planetary weather warfare, I'm talking about weather manipulation, specifically dealing with biblical and apocalyptic flooding throughout the world. In just, let's see, in just the past 3.5 years, I have documented over 1.3 thousand flooding events from around the world. Now, if that does not raise your eyebrows, you have got to be stone cold dead.
Not dead yet.
Not dead. So basically, that's a wrap up of the items that are, the items in the agenda that I wanted to cover tonight. Kiwi. In the future, we can cover things, certain things more specifically.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, we can go into more detail about those things. And of course, if you like, pick a specific topic, and what I'll do is do an outline of the items that I didn't cover on that, so I make sure we're thorough in their presentation.
Sure. Yeah, well, just in sort of wrapping this up and so forth for this evening in this part 2 of this presentation, let's say for a starter, thank you for making the time to do this, because this is great. And I don't know about you, but this is really, I've found this enjoyable. It's good to sort of have this dedicated time to doing this, exposing and just making, painting the whole picture, if you like. So yeah, that's really, thanks for that, and I think there's a lot more we can talk about, and you know that because we have on numerous occasions, but now we're going to actually put it in video form, and hopefully not just a red blur, and something better on this side as well. We can get this going, but it's all a matter of evolution.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to thank you for your participation, in producing these videos, Nigel.
There
I'm
was
really
Yeah, there was one thing I wanted to say when you were talking about what you were saying and so forth. That one thing I've really noticed over the last couple of years, even, and that is there's been a significant change in how the weather modification has been done. Like, in other words, they've really seriously changed their and upgraded their technology in delivering the weather to us.
that's true. As each year passes by, technology improves. In fact, one of the points I wanted to bring up, uh, which I can save for a future episode, is when you take a look at weather modification, specifically with regards to the United States. The United States holds the most patents on weather modification.
Yep.
And those are all available online. All you have to do is look up, just Google weather modification U.S. patents, and you'll see over 100 actually documented there. Now, I'm in the process of accumulating all those at the present time. Now, that's going to take some work. I don't know how long it'll take me, but when all is said and done, it'll be done with. One of the most revealing is the U.S. patent involving tornado and hurricane control device. Now, if that doesn't scare I can't use the word, if that doesn't scare you, nothing else will. And that's what they use.
Yeah.
And the technology is not only on land, it's on sea, and it's also on space as well too.
Yeah. The reason I mention that, by the way, is because so many times when something happens and people go, oh, harp, and I just wanted to point out that, as far as I've seen, a lot of this technology is not HARP, it's something else. It's more advanced technology. HARP is just one thing that they've got there, which was very powerful and so forth, and I guess still used, but there are many ways to how do you say, many ways to kill something. I forget the saying, but they have so many different means available now, and to think it's just one thing, no, there's numerous technologies, and they use multiple technologies at the same time.
Yes, that's true, and I agree with you. Now, here's a lot of misunderstanding that people have. Over the years, HARP was to be blamed on everything. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is what HARP is. HARP is what's called an ionospheric heater. Now, an ionospheric heater is where you literally take millions of watts of electricity and beam it up to the ionosphere, where you can actually push the ionosphere out of the atmosphere, and you can control jet streams as well as what do you call it? Atmospheric weather.
Yep.
Now, HARP is not only solely responsible for that. When I say ionospheric heaters, there's several hundreds of ionospheric heaters like HARP located throughout, well, over the planet.
Yep.
And the majority of those are controlled by the United States.
Right.
So in my book, it's a misconception when you blame everything on HAARP. That's old school, and it's antiquated knowledge at this time. People should not be focusing on HAARP. They should be focusing on ionosphere heaters, and specifically Jim Lee, Weather Wars International Hall of Fame member, covers that in great detail in several videos and articles.
Yep. Good. Good. Not point well made.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we'll just wrap it up at this point, and all those inspirational thoughts and so forth will just have to get held onto for the next time we do this.
Well, I hope you can get a good night's sleep, Nigel.
Yeah, okay. Well, stay on the line for a moment. I'm just going to end off this video, and we'll chat and wrap it up.
Okay, I'll be back in just a minute.
Yeah, okay. So that brings us to an end, and thanks for listening, and we watch out, subscribe to this channel, and watch out for future interviews. Good night.